as long as you have Media Encoder installed, this should be super easy. Now, if you go to File, Export, Media, this will take you to the Adobe Premiere export menu. And you can actually export directly in from Premiere, but we're going to use Media Encoder because it will have more settings and more control over the export. And if you ever do any professional video work, that's what you'll want to be using. Now, there are a couple of things that we will change here before we go, and namely I'm going to pick the output location to just be our Toon folder. And I'm going to pick the name for it as well by selecting here, demo, vid, and so now I have my name, my location. I am going to change some of these other settings though. So namely, I'm going to change the format from MP3 to H.264, and that is a HD video format. Now if I click through and scrub through, I can see the previews of the frames and how that's going to look. Everything seems good to roll. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click this button here in the bottom right to send it to the Media Encoder. This will actually automatically open Media Encoder for you. So we'll just wait for that to open. And it has automatically populated it onto your list. Now, if we had everything set up already as a preset, we could just hit the play button and it would render. But I'm actually going to show you how to change the settings, which is the only real good use for Media Encoder. It's great for compiling video quickly and for getting the settings just right. So what we're going to do is click the blue text there, and this will bring up the settings menu. Similar to Premiere, you can click different frames and get a bit of a preview for what this is going to look like. And here you'll see things like your video settings. So as long as you have your frame rate and everything right out of Premiere, this will all come out as it should. Now, what we're going to do is scroll down its settings a little. And if you scroll down just a little, you'll see right here there's this checkbox. We want to make sure we check this render at maximum depth box. Similarly, if you have the ability to select hardware encoding, you want to select it. And instead of just picking main with the checkbox, you have to uncheck this, and we're going to swap it to high. That will allow us to change this to 4.2. When we do that, it's going to allow us to increase the resolution of our export. And the final thing we're going to change is the bit rate and one other checkbox. But the bit rate is really the most important setting on any video export. Different platforms will have different bit rate recommendations. For example, Instagram, because it's mobile streaming, recommends a bit rate of 3.5 megabytes per second. For ours, we're going to start with a slightly higher bit rate. Our clips are not terribly long, so what we're going to do is increase our bit rate to 25. And this will be what you want to use for standard HD 1080p video. Once we've set our bit rate, so you'll notice I also changed it to VBR 2-pass, which is actually going to render it twice and comp them together for us, which will result in a higher resolution, higher bit rate output. The final thing I'm going to do is check Use Maximum Render Quality. That's it. That's all we need in Media Encoder. We click OK, then you can hit play. Now it's going to take a second to render this out, and it's like I said before, it's going to render twice, and then we'll have our video. Once it's finished, you can click on your output folder, and we can take a look. There's my short clip rendered out, ready to upload. And that'll be it for this time. So all in all, you want to make your video in Blender, export it to Premiere, and then comp it in Media Encoder for the final export. And that's that.